Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning as we bring you this morning's edition of Morning Tidbit. Um, see, what if we wait till go live and the microphone decides not to be at peak performance? But that's okay because are always at peak performance. Good morning, everyone. My name is Luciana Turner. I am the founder of the LT&A Consulting Firm, a government contracting training and consulting firm. Welcome for this morning's edition of Morning Tidbit. We do a little bit of government, a little bit of morning information to get your day started. I am your host, Luciana Turner. Welcome. Now, we all know how we were raised. As you join this session, drop a hello so I can know that you've been here. I do go back and just greet everybody, say hello after the fact. So, this morning's edition of Morning Tidbit, we're going to talk a little about the components of a contractor's toolkit. I'm more still going to list or itemize what every government contractor needs to have in their toolkit to build a sustainable, scalable, and most importantly, compliant government contracting company. Then we're going to talk about my upcoming information session, which I'm hosting next week, actually. And then my podcast episode, our first episode drops today. And as I said yesterday, I'm actually dropping 2 episodes today. So, welcome, everyone. Welcome. As I say, as you enter the room, please drop a hello so I know that you're here and I can acknowledge you. So, let's get this party started. Components of a contractor's toolkit. What I refer to as a contractor's toolkit is, I think in terms of analogies, what old school thinkers would call allegories, etc. And that's just because that's just how my mind works. Sue me. But a toolkit is the components needed to develop what I would call uh, the essential tools to put together a compliant company. I believe far too often people forget that compliance is a key requirement in every business, in every industry, but especially in government contracting. Because everybody hates the auditor, but we can be your friend if you build compliance into your plan. So, one function of contractor's toolkit, we can't forget mindset. As I spoke on yesterday, something that was a common theme in the conference I was just in, and it's just a constant theme that I've incurred over the years, is you have to have a constant mindset of growth, of shifting, of learning and knowing how to read the signs, and knowing and reading your employees, your team. So the mindset to shift as the tide shifts, reading the signs, understanding that good counsel is necessary. So that mindset is so important. Maintaining a healthy balance and lifestyle. I know there's this whole thought out here. There's no such thing as work-life mindset, work-life balance. Yes, there is. And that just comes if you do nothing else but take 10 minutes a day to decompress. A stressed mind cannot create. So don't let anybody tell you there isn't a balance, because there is. You can turn off and be present with yourself if nobody else, but with your friends, with your family. So there is a balance. You don't always have to be on. You do the work when necessary. You put in the extra hours when necessary, but it is also necessary to turn it off. Effectual leadership, recognizing that there are times that you have to do that continuing education. There are times you have to step up for your team and guide those processes and procedures necessary so that your team know where they're going at all times. I like to call this the board of advisors. That is your legal team, your tax accountant, your bookkeepers, your project and program managers, etc. Those are the people that help you keep your business legal and functioning and floating. I understand some of you are solopreneurs, but in order to grow, and especially in government contracting, you cannot be team me, fi me. I'm just saying. And those are just some of the tools or some of the components of a contractor's toolkit. I talk about this more in my masterclass that's upcoming, and I'll give you a little more about that later. Next week, I'm holding an information session at 5 o'clock on Friday, September the 23rd. And that information session is really where I'm having a conversation with some government contractors. I'm inviting you into my space. I want to hear from you. I want you to tell me what you want to talk about with regards to government contracting. I was looking at some of my analytics, and I see what you engage in and what you don't. And I just want to hear more about what it is you want to talk about. I want to hear more about what it is you want to hear about. So I'm inviting you into my space. I will drop the link in the chat so you can register for the information session. Plan to be there no more than an hour. I don't want to belabor the point, but I do want it to be interactive. This is not going to be a space where you hear my voice. This is going to be a space where I hear your voice. I want to hear you speak. I want to hear what your thoughts are. And lastly, on tomorrow's edition of Morning Tidbit, I'm going to share a brief snippet of my presentation from this weekend, where I presented on government contracting, and I actually talked about how I won a $1 million contract. And then I talked a little bit about how I just really didn't step up to the plate all the way with that contract. But I'm going to play a part of that tomorrow morning for Morning Tidbit. And I will also share a day after tomorrow, a part of one of my Power Partners presentation, also a part of the Morning Tidbit platform. So join me tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as I share with you part of my presentation from this weekend as part of the Morning Tidbit platform. So have an amazing day, and don't forget, take time out to decompress. I have that new podcast episode dropping this morning after chatter goes off.